Yo, what's up guys, your boy Ken here. Today we're going to be checking out the Fiio 75HE by Nuphy. Big thanks to Nuphy for providing me a sample. I've been testing this keyboard for about 4 weeks now, and I'm going to give you guys my personal opinion about the keyboard. Hopefully it helps you decide whether you should buy this keyboard or not. If you guys want to see more honest and unbiased reviews, make sure to like and subscribe. So yeah, let's get right to it. Inside the box, you will find your keyboard, a dust cover for the keyboard, 4 extra switches, a switch and keycap puller, a USB-A to USB-C rubber cable, and an instruction manual / poster. I wish Nuphy included extra jade switches and, give us like a better cable, like a coiled or a braided cable would be really nice here, but it is what it is. So here is what the keyboard looks like. The Fiio 75HE only comes in one colorway so far. It's got this white, dark gray, and orange type of keycaps colorway with a gray case. Honestly, I personally like how it looks, and I don't really have too many complaints about the aesthetics of this keyboard. I think it all blends together nicely. Although people who cares about aesthetics might have an issue pairing this keyboard with something that will look nice with it, something like a white mouse or one of those orange Lamzu mice or Vaxi will look nice with it. The Fiio 75HE weighs 1,085 grams on my scale, and the build quality is great despite it having an all ABS plastic material case. I wish they used a little more premium materials here, even if it's just the top case. Something like an aluminum top would be better just to, give it a little bit of a premium feeling. For the keycaps, it is using cherry profile PBT keycaps, which are good quality. This is a top mount keyboard, and it's using an aluminum plate. You also get some silicone sound dampeners on the board and on the space bar itself, which is really nice. Inside the keyboard, you get more sound dampeners. Personally, I didn't really open this keyboard up because, I don't know, I just don't feel like opening this keyboard up, but the keyboard feels very nice to type on, and in my opinion, it sounds great. Here's a quick sound test. Let me know what you guys think about how the keyboard sounds in the comment down below. But yeah, now let's talk about the keyboard. Let's start at the top, of course. So you guys can see you have a volume knob right here, made out of metal. It has this nice notchy steps, and it makes a really good sound when you use it. This right here is your RGB brightness switch. If you press it, you can select or cycle through different RGB presets. And this one, the switch right here, is for your 3 different profiles or 3 different modes. The default is for mode 1 is Mac, mode 2 is Windows, and then mode 3 is like your gaming profile. And you can configure and change this in your software, which I will talk about later on in this video. You also have this handlebar right here. I don't really see the need for this since I don't really carry my keyboard around, but if you do, then good news, you have a handlebar on the side just like the Wooting, but this one is slightly better because it's metal. So you guys can see you also have 4 extra media buttons. It's not macro. You cannot launch macro with these buttons, which is great because I'm against macro. Macro is illegal and you can get banned for it. What sucks about this though is you can only change this with media controls and other keys. You also have 4 more media keys under your space bar. The default is binding to F5, F6, F7, F8. Okay, personally, I don't like these extra media buttons. And these profile switching, and this profile switch, and this RGB button. The reason is that if you have a good web-based software, these are all redundant to me. Like, just change it through your software. I don't really see any sort of like use for any of these. I've never used these buttons ever. The entire 4 weeks I spent testing this keyboard, I never used any of these buttons once, and I honestly, to me, they're useless, especially these ones under the space bar. Now, depending on the user, depending on how long or large their thumb is, this actually might interfere with the user. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how they position or place their thumb. And, luckily it's only binded to like F5, F6, F7, F8 by default. It's not really going to do anything in game, but, if it does, then this will just get in the way. And to me, this is a big no. Honestly, these 4 media buttons on the left side is all right, but these under the space bar, nah, not a fan. So that's a big con to me. But yeah, what else did I miss? This one right here, kind of like a light or LED indicator. Like when you press a key, like this one, it just lights up just to let you know, hey, I'm actuating or whatever. But yeah, on the side, 75%. So you still have your delete, home, and page up, page down button, and then your arrow keys, which is honestly really nice. I'm a big fan of 75% because I like my keyboard to have an F row and arrow keys. So yeah, that's a big W. Under the keyboards, you guys can see you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rubber feet just to help the keyboard stay in place during use. You also have an adjustable tilt angle right here. Only one level, but it's better than nothing. You know what I mean? And yeah, that is it. It's made out of plastic as well. And this one is kind of like what is this? Like a weight bar or something? Or just kind of like a design. But it's a fingerprint magnet. Let me clean it up. And yeah, just adds like some sort of like aesthetic design or something just to make it pop if you flip the keyboard, but it's not really a big deal because I don't see it. Honestly, the only thing I really can't complain about are these media keys on the side, but everything else can stay, honestly. If they make a version 2 of these, I would like them to just remove these media keys and these RGB and profile switch keys and just leave the side buttons right here, and that'd be solid, honestly. I don't really see anything else to talk about. Now let's move on to the performance side. I think the performance of his keyboard is excellent. It does, on paper, it is better than the Wooting 60HE, but in real world, I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel the difference between this and the Wooting 60HE Plus. This is an 8000 Hz polling rate keyboard with a scan rate of 2500. I'm not really sure if this keyboard feels snappier at 8K mode, but it could also be placebo. It's just extremely hard to tell on a gaming keyboard, to be honest with you. Like on a gaming mouse, for sure. If you have a 360 Hz or a 540 Hz monitor, yes, you might be able to tell the difference between 1K and 8K polling rate on a gaming mouse. However, on a gaming keyboard, I really can't feel any difference, to be honest. But the rapid trigger implementation is flawless, and honestly, I don't really have any complaints. This just feels so nice to use, and honestly, yeah, I really don't have anything negative to say when it comes to the performance of this keyboard. I'm honestly impressed. This is Nuphy's first HE keyboard, and the fact that they nailed the performance right off the bat without any sort of like issues, and that is something that I'm really pleased with. They picked the right components. You have a PCB that supports Gateron switches. I'm a big fan of Gateron Jades, and I'm happy that they include an option to have Gateron Jades out of the box or KS20s. the MCU that they use is powerful than your typical MCU. This is supporting a higher scan rate, higher polling rate. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just the execution of Nuphy is very good, and that's it for the performance segment. Honestly, big W Nuphy. So to access Nuphy's web-based software, simply open Microsoft Edge or a Google Chrome browser and simply type nuphy.io. It will take you to their web-based software. So you guys can see you can configure your mode 1, mode 2, and mode 3. I only use one mode and I don't switch different profiles, so I only have one mode available and configured, but I don't really mind. But this is your main page, the key bindings. You can change your key bindings on this page, different layers too. At the bottom, this is for your media controls. These side buttons can only be replaced with media controls, basic characters, RGB control symbols, and special characters. There is no macro yet, I guess. I'm highly against macro, but if you're gonna use it to for like Final Fantasy or whatever, any non-competitive games is fine, but using macro keys on any esports titles is illegal and you can get banned for it. So yeah, I don't really like that macro feature, but if you must use it on other casual games, then it's perfectly fine. But yeah, it's nice to see if they can actually implement macro keys on these buttons since they're already here. I'm still not a fan of them. On the second page, this is where you adjust your rapid trigger sensitivities, like your actuation points and stuff like that. It is very easy to do. So you guys can see my WASD are all set to 0.32 on the actuation, and my rapid trigger press activate set to 0.02, and my release deactivate set to 0.04. You can also do separate press release sensitivity and continuous rapid trigger. You can also adjust your dead zone right here, which is really neat. I like to keep mine at 0.32 millimeters. And on the left, you got a key press visualization. As you can see where the keys activates and deactivates. So that is pretty neat. On the third page, you get your lighting effects. This is why I said that the knob on the keyboard is useless itself, because it's so easy to just open a browser and configure RGB there. The knob on the keyboard is pretty useless. On the mode settings, you can enable lock window, lock alt F4, lock alt tab, gaming optimization. Don't really notice any sort of like difference. I think this is pretty pointless. The tick rate, again, don't really notice any sort of like a difference in game. Don't really use it. I just leave it at no tick rate. And then anti-wobbliness level. I've never tested this before, but low stab is fine, but you can play around with it, see if you find anything. And lastly, your polling rate. Now, this is something I've been playing around with ever since I got this keyboard. I'm gonna keep it 100, guys. This channel is, there's no shills or whatever or whatnot. I honestly don't feel any difference between 2000, 4000, 8000 hertz polling rate. To be honest, this keyboard kind of like behaves like my Wooting 60HE Plus. That is, what is that, like a 1000 hertz polling rate and 1K scan rate keyboard. In my opinion, high polling rate on a keyboard is something that you probably would not notice because it's a keyboard, man. Like I did A and B testing on multiple 8K keyboards, and versus my Akko one, again, I don't really notice any difference unless I have the roar mode activated and I'm comparing Akko's keys that are not inside roar mode. Then yes, I can feel a difference because they're running at 125 hertz scan rate, and this one is running at 2500 hertz scan rate. So but yeah, versus like a 1K scan rate keyboard, can't really feel a difference, man. Perhaps it might be a little bit snappier. I really can't tell if it's placebo or not. And on your settings button right here on the top right, this is where you can configure your extra settings like export configs, import profiles, reset keyboard to factory. You can contact Nuphy here. You can see your current version of the Nuphy keyboard, device version 200. There's actually an update right now, but it's not letting me. You can only update it normally. Please contact after sales, which sucks. I thought they have like some sort of like a software. Perhaps it's not ready yet, but yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe I'm gonna contact them after I upload this video. They probably would just send me like some sort of like a software updating tool or something like that. But yeah, so you guys can see they are fixing bugs and making improvements to the keyboard's existing features. They're also planning to implement, rapid shift, SOCD, hypertap, DKS, and all that stuff like that. But yeah, this is something really nice, and this is something that you only see on Wooting keyboards. So props to Nuphy for this. So yeah, that is it for this segment. Honestly, I'm a big fan of this web-based software. Everything is easy to understand. Everything is very responsive, and yeah, it's just an overall excellent experience. And I don't really see anything that they need to change. Big W to Nuphy for this. Okay, so conclusion. Do I recommend this keyboard to people? Yes and no. If you're looking for a great performing, great price, 75% Hall effect keyboard, and you're not gonna mind these extra media keys on the side and at the bottom, highly recommend. I think this is a very solid keyboard. It performs really well in game. You have continuous update, web-based software, very nice typing feel and sound out of the box without having to mod the keyboard. And the keyboard itself is, built really well. You have F rows, arrow keys, pretty much anything you want on a gaming keyboard, to be honest. I think it's a really good product, but I wouldn't recommend this to people who would think that these extra keys would interfere with how they use the keyboard. Especially, if you rest your fingers like this, you know, you're gonna hate this. Actually, the fact that you can actually click these buttons right here, it's a no, right? So I don't want to keep on bashing these extra buttons. And honestly, I don't know, like the Wooting 80HE just came out, like their plastic version, in my eyes, at $200, it's just not as good as this one, to be honest. If I need a 75% or 80%, I would buy this over the Wooting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're saving money, for the same performance, better typing feel and sound to the 80HE, better switches out of the box than the 80HE, in my opinion. And yeah, that is it for this review. I hope you find this review helpful, and you have any questions, guys, comment down below. As always, thank you for watching. Like and sub.